An eclectic mix of sightseers stream onto boats bound for Halong Bay. At least 2.5 million people holiday here each year, and about half of those are foreigners. And we can only expect that number to grow now that this UNESCO World Heritage Area has also been named one of the new 7 wonders of the world. But this time last year, the mood out on the water was very different. Last February, 11 foreign tourists and a Vietnamese guide drowned after their boat sank shortly before dawn. The valves connecting the junk's engine cooling pipes to the water had been left open during the night, swamping the hull.
The thing with Vietnam is it's actually been one of those places until recently that's been on the safety list amongst the industry. So I think it was a little bit of paradise lost in a way. It was a little bit of shock. But obviously when these things happen, you do have to look at actually what happened. The incident in February last year was human error.
Shortly before our cruise, our captain talked me through the safety checklist. There are 16 lifebuoys dotted around the decks and 6 lifeboats. Downstairs, every chair in the restaurant has a life jacket underneath, and fire extinguishers can be found in the hallways. Each cabin comes with 2 life vests, as well as an underwater light and hammer in case of emergencies. The paperwork ahead of each journey has also increased. All captains are asked to submit detailed logs to the authorities, and overnight cruisers are only allowed to depart at specific times. Most boat operators have welcomed these new measures.
Before we would be checked every 3 or 4 months. Now the safety inspectors come even during our cruise, meaning that at night when we are anchored, sometimes they come on boat and check the boat, check the number of passengers to see if we don't overload the boat. They check also the safety equipment available, they check the fire alarms, and they check the water pumps in the basement to see if we are being careful with all that.
Another way to ensure passenger safety is to build sturdier boats.
Our boat is a replica of a paddle steamer that used to be in Halong Bay in 1910, the bay. So by construction, by design, this boat is made for that. The wooden boat in Halong Bay, by design, were fisherman boats. So they were just meant to carry 2 or 3 people, and they were supposed to be a bit fast and sailing boat to go fishing. So now they slowly transform this wooden junk that were small wooden boat, very charming, very elegant wooden boat, into quite large tourist boat with sometimes 10, 15, 20 cabins. So by construction, by design, this hull and this type of boat is not designed to carry so many people. So I guess at some point this boat reached the limit of what you can do with such a hull. Then you must have a different construction technique and different design.
Bhaya Cruises is now building its first steel-hulled vessel called the Alcur. It will hold 64 passengers, have 32 cabins as well as a spa, and offer 3-day luxury tours around the Gulf of Tonkin.
The wooden boats aren't as safe as the newer boats. The lifetime of the wooden boat is 10 years, but boats like this, made of steel, will last more than 20 years. And when this boat is launched on Halong Bay, we hope it will improve the image of Vietnam.
An image that's very different from this time a year ago. Immediately after the accident, there was a lot of chatter on forums like TripAdvisor, with people pointing the finger at cheap, unlicensed boats and the so-called cowboys that run them. Some commentators even said if people had booked more expensive tours, this might not have happened. But surely, safety isn't just the reserve for luxury travellers.
No, price is not really a factor because now there is quite a strong competition in Halong Bay. So it's a very good value for money. Now it's really cheap to go to Halong Bay because there is a lot of boats. Probably because there was not enough regulation, I would say, and they let probably too many boats. And the accident is probably one of the consequences of this.
Last year? They had an incident here where people drowned, right? So that was one of my considerations. I said, how safe is it?
Safety is obviously very important, particularly when you bring your family. Mostly it's just sort of it's asking around, but also checking on the websites and making sure that they've got the right tourism licenses and that sort of thing.
So if you're a traveller coming to Halong Bay, how do you know if your boat is safe? Particularly if you haven't physically seen the boat or you've booked your tour over the internet.
My advice would be to go, same for airline industry, you want to go for the big players. You know, these people, they know their stuff, we know our stuff. So go for the big cruise companies who have many boats, and you can very well see on the internet who are the big ones, and they have a big website and they own many boats and they have big operations, so these people have a good safety standard.
A year later, and the boats on the bay are brimming with tourists, and the perception is that this is again a safe place to visit.
Sometimes when a place gets the World Heritage Site ranking, it really becomes a free-for-all, and they do have to be careful because I would say that people wouldn't be staying away out of fear, but they would be cautious. When you look at Vietnam, they do have a reputation for regulation, and this wasn't something that had happened across the board.